And let's take Sneha's question first. So she has investment in Mira Asset Large and Mid Cap 50,000, Parag Parikh Flexi Cap 60,000, and ICICI Pro Blue Chip 50,000. She wants to know if she can step up her lump sum investment and if the funds are okay. And the time horizon is 10 years.
So a couple of things, right? One, I think the funds that she's holding are great. I mean, all of them in individual capacity are great funds. Mira said large cap from the large and mid cap category, managed by Nilesh Surana. Brilliant fund managers, probably going through a little bit of underperformance in recent times, but that's more of the style of the fund, and I wouldn't really worry too much about it. I think a very well managed fund over the long term, and that's excellent. Obviously, we have the Parag Parikh Flexi Cap, which again gives you exposure not just to Indian stocks but also a certain element of international exposure. Again, managed by Rajiv Thakkar, very very well managed strategy. And then you have the ICICI Blue Chip from the large cap category, managed by Anista Walkley. Again, an excellent, very well managed large cap strategy. So I think in isolation, these three are great strategies to hold, funds to hold in the portfolio. The one thing I'd probably say, and which we don't actually get often, is that perhaps Neha can actually take a little more risk in her portfolio. Because when I look at the underlying exposure, she is still by the virtue of the underlying holdings, probably a little over allocated to large caps from the context that she's got at least a 10-year horizon. I would say maybe 5-7% additional exposure to mid caps through a fund like HDFC Mid Cap Opportunities might not be a bad idea for her to consider adding to the portfolio, which will give her a good sort of risk return mix within the portfolio. The other thing I would definitely say that I think I understood that she's probably done a lump sum one-time investment in these. If she can and she must look to set up an SIP in all of these strategies, including the mid cap, the new mid cap, the HDFC mid cap that I mentioned, and make sure that she does a step up, every year, at least 10-15%. And she's going to be building a fairly reasonably good corpus, after 10 years. So I think she can kind of, work towards that by setting up that SIP and stepping it up. She should be in good financial shape after that.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's take Samadhan's question. And so he has planned some finance for some goals. 5 years planning for children education. He needs 3 lakh rupees, and after 20 years, he wants to shift his SIP and make it into a SWP of 50,000 monthly. ICICI Pro Blue Chip he has in his portfolio. Nippon India Small Cap, Motilal Oswal Mid Cap, and Parag Parikh Flexi Cap. Total SIP is almost 9,000, and he's also investing in NPS. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
What would be the corpus amount, and how much he should be accumulating for each of his goal then, Vastu?
Sure. So I think a couple of points. One is, given that children's education is, it's fairly close. It is, 5 years away. It is a non-negotiable, goal that he must fund to the amount that he envisages of 3 lakhs. There are a couple of options he can explore, because right now he's got a equity heavy portfolio. So then, over the 5 years, obviously we know that equity can potentially be volatile, and that's not something that you want to fund out of. There are two options he can explore. One is, clearly he can, NPS allows a withdrawal for children's higher education up to 25%, as long as and I assume he has at least spent 3 years in the NPS system. So that's one option that he can explore, maybe taking some money from there, or perhaps even an educational loan if he can avail of good interest rates and let his equity portion run. That's one option that's obviously available to him. I would say, from the portfolio construction perspective, the funds that he has in his portfolio, I think largely the funds that he's holding are not bad. I mean, the ICICI Blue Chip, Parag Parikh, we already spoke about. It's the Nippon Small Cap, extremely well managed small cap fund. There's a Motilal Oswal Mid Cap. It is a slightly riskier fund because it is a fairly concentrated strategy, but it's obviously done very, very well in the recent years. But I would just a little word of caution that don't expect this level of outperformance from that strategy to continue year in, year out. We know funds can go through periods of good and bad performance, but it's a well managed strategy. So I don't have an issue with the funds that he's holding, but more so with the allocation within the market capitalization space. Here is a portfolio where it's probably a little slightly over allocated to mid and small caps by the virtue of the four funds that he's holding. And I would want to bring that down to a total of 35% of his overall exposure. Right now, I think it is close to about 45%. So a little bit of 10% can be reallocated back to the ICICI Blue Chip and the Parag Parikh FlexiCap portfolio. In terms of his longer term goal, which is the retirement and producing an SWP, now what's important to think about is, if he lets his portfolio grow and keep stepping up the SIP, and I think he'll have to be a little aggressive with the step up of the SIP, given his his ambition to have an SWP of about 50,000 per month after the end of 20 years, for two reasons. One is, there's a concept of a safe withdrawal rate where we say that, look, this percentage of your portfolio at retirement each year, you can safely withdraw without, kind of impeding your capital growth within the portfolio. And traditionally, a lot of people talk about a 4% safe withdrawal rate in some of the global economies. But given where India is in terms of inflation, I think maybe 2.5%, 3% is a more conservative estimate in terms of a safe withdrawal rate. So if he wants to have a safe withdrawal rate, or you're at 2.5%, 3%, so that he achieves the 50,000 SWP each month, I think he'll have to aggressively step up his SIPs by about 20, 25% each year. Now, that's obviously a question that Samadhan needs to ask himself, that is that something he can do, or perhaps he might need to recalibrate his investment time horizon or the SWP amount that he has in mind. So I think those are a few things that he needs to keep in mind, but definitely look to aggressively step up as much as possible on the SIP amounts, and just a little bit of portfolio reallocation back to the ICICI Large Cap and Parag Flexi Cap. I think the portfolio would be in really good shape.
All right, I think with that, it's the end of the show. Thank you so much, Kaustubh, for taking your time out and helping our viewers with every aspect of their investment journey today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for our viewers, I'm going to leave you with our WhatsApp number and email ID where you can send across your questions to us. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.